Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today we're heading over to India
Yeah, India.
to check out Hindalco Industries Ltd.
Really fascinating company.
They're setting a new standard in the world of metals.
Absolutely.
We've got their financial reports for the quarter and 9 months, leading up to December 31st, 2024.
Yeah. It's a lot of data.
We've got a stack of financial documents, balance sheets, income statements.
Fireworks.
But we're not going to bore you with a line-by-line reading.
No.
No.
Think of us as your financial detectives.
Exactly.
We're going to sift through all the jargon.
Yes.
Highlight the most important clues to help you understand
What's really going on?
what's really going on at Hindalco.
So to set the stage, Hindalco is a global giant.
Yeah, huge company, the world's largest aluminum rolling company by revenue. In fact, and their subsidiary, Nobles, is a major player in rolled aluminum products
Okay.
and recycling.
So they're in the big leagues.
Big leagues.
So let's start with their overall performance.
Okay.
How did they do this past quarter?
Well, one of the key figures to look at is their consolidated net profit,
Yeah.
which basically tells us how much money they made after all expenses. It's a whopping
Okay.
3,735 crore for Q3 of fiscal year 25.
Okay.
That's a 60% jump compared to the same period last year.
A 60% increase.
Yeah.
Wow. What's fueling that kind of growth?
A lot of it comes down to their operations in India.
Okay.
They're really capitalizing on this strong demand for aluminum and copper within the country.
Makes sense. Now, you mentioned net profit.
Yes.
But I've also heard this term EBITDA thrown around a lot when talking about companies like Hindalco.
Yes.
What exactly does that mean?
EBITDA stands for earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization.
Okay.
It's a way to measure a company's operating profitability
Okay.
without getting bogged down by things like debt payments
Right.
or the age of their equipment.
Makes sense.
So it gives us a clearer picture of how efficiently they're running their core business.
So it strips away all the kind of extraneous
all the noise.
noise.
Yeah.
Exactly. So,
And Hindalco's consolidated EBITDA is also looking very healthy
okay.
at 8,108 crore.
Wow.
That's a 28% increase year on year.
That's great.
And another important sign of their financial health is their consolidated net debt to EBITDA ratio.
Okay. Break that one down for me.
Think of it like this.
Yeah.
This ratio tells us how easily Hindalco can manage its debt.
Okay.
A lower number is better,
Uh-huh.
and their current ratio is a very respectable 1.33x.
Okay.
It means they're not drowning in debt and have the financial flexibility to invest in growth opportunities.
Got it. So financially, they seem to be in a pretty solid position.
Very solid.
But what about their different business segments?
Okay.
Let's start with their aluminum upstream business.
Okay, so that's where they're really knocking it out of the park.
Okay.
They achieved a record-breaking EBITDA
Wow.
of 4,222 crore for aluminum upstream.
Okay.
That's a massive 73% jump.
Wow, 73%. That's huge.
Huge.
What's driving that kind of performance?
A couple of things.
Yeah.
First, they've benefited from lower input costs,
Okay.
which means they're spending less on raw materials and energy.
Right.
This has led to an incredible EBITDA margin of 42%.
That's very impressive.
Yeah, very impressive.
To put it in perspective, most aluminum companies would be thrilled with a margin in the 20s.
Yeah, you rarely see that.
So 42% is truly exceptional.
Yeah,
Really speaks to their operational efficiency and their ability to control costs.
absolutely.
Now, this high margin might not last forever, as commodity prices can fluctuate,
Correct.
but it certainly puts them in a strong competitive position.
For sure.
All right, so aluminum upstream is a major win.
Big win.
What about their copper business?
Copper is holding its own too.
Okay.
They achieved an EBITDA of 777 crore,
Okay.
an 18% rise compared to last year.
So not as dramatic as aluminum,
Not as dramatic, no.
but still a significant increase.
Still very significant.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And what's interesting here is that a lot of this growth is coming from strong domestic sales in India.
Yeah, they're really tapping into that.
They're tapping into the growing demand
Yeah.
within their own country.
Smart move.
Smart move. Now, we can't talk about Hindalco without mentioning their subsidiary,
Okay.
Novelis.
Yes.
What's the story there?
Novelis is a global leader in rolled aluminum products,
Okay.
particularly for the automotive and packaging industries.
All right.
They reported revenue of $4.1 billion,
Okay.
driven by higher average aluminum prices.
That sounds good,
Sounds good.
but I have a feeling there's a but coming.
There is a but.
Yep.
Their adjusted EBITDA actually declined by 19% to $367 million.
Ooh, that's a significant drop.
Significant.
What happened?
And they've been hit by rising aluminum scrap prices.
Okay.
They rely heavily on recycled aluminum. And the cost of scrap has been going up, squeezing their margins.
Okay. So they're facing some headwinds on the recycling front.
Yeah, a little bit.
But they're not just sitting back and taking it, are they?
No, they're very proactive. They're actively looking for ways to mitigate these risks.
Okay.
They're exploring options to diversify their scrap sourcing, improve operational efficiency, and even invest in new recycling technologies.
Makes sense.
So it's all about adapting
right
to the changing market dynamics.
It sounds like they're taking a proactive approach, which is probably why they're so successful.
That's part of it, yeah.
Now, before we move on to some of the other interesting developments at Hindalco, I want to touch on something that really impressed me. Their commitment to sustainability.
Very good.
It's not just talk.
No.
They're actually walking the walk.
They are.
And the industry is recognizing their efforts.
Yeah.
They recently received the Copper Mark JDDS accreditation.
Which is a big deal.
Which is a globally recognized standard for responsible copper production.
Absolutely.
So this isn't just some internal pat on the back. It's a stamp of approval from a respected external organization.
Yeah, for sure.
What exactly does this accreditation mean?
It means that Hindalco has met rigorous standards for environmental performance, social responsibility, and governance practices. It shows they're committed to minimizing their impact on the environment, treating their workers fairly, and operating ethically.
It's good to hear.
Yeah.
And it's not just the Copper Mark, right?
Right.
They're also ranked among the top 1% of companies globally.
That's right.
In the S&P Global Sustainability Yearbook 2025.
Which is very impressive.
That's a huge accomplishment.
Huge.
So they're not just leading in terms of size and profitability.
No, they're leading the way.
They're also setting a new bar for sustainability in the metals industry.
Absolutely.
And that's becoming increasingly important, not just for attracting investors, but also for appealing to consumers.
Consumers are demanding it.
We're demanding more sustainable products.
Yeah.
It's a win-win.
Win-win.
Now let's shift gears a bit. And talk about some internal changes happening at Hindalco. There's a CFO transition on the horizon. Yes. Praveen Kumar Maheshwari will be stepping down as CFO on March 31st, 2025.
Yeah, end of March.
So who's taking over?
Farat Goenka, who's currently the CFO designate, will assume the role on April 1st, 2025. So it seems like a smooth and planned transition.
Good.
Yeah.
Any other board-level news we should know about?
Well, Praveen Kumar Maheshwari is also seeking reappointment as a whole-time director, effective April 1st, 2025.
Right.
This is subject to shareholder approval.
Makes sense.
And they'll be receiving a postal ballot notice soon.
So it sounds like standard procedure.
Standard procedure.
So a new leader at the financial helm?
Yes.
But continuity with the existing board. Now, no success story is without its challenges.
That's true.
What hurdles is Hindalco facing?
Well, one of the key challenges, as we touched upon earlier, is the pressure on scrap prices that Novelis is facing. It's an industry-wide issue. But Novelis is particularly vulnerable given their reliance on recycled aluminum. And we talked about their efforts to mitigate those risks? Yes.
But what other issues are on their radar?
Well, there's some uncertainty surrounding electricity duty payments.
Right.
This is where things get a bit complicated.
Oh, boy.
Hindalco has been exempt from paying electricity duty at one of its captive power plants since 2013. But recently, the state electricity department asked for payment details. Which has raised some questions.
Understandably.
Right.
So as a precautionary measure, the company has set aside a provision of 197 crore.
Just in case.
For potential electricity duty payments?
Yeah.
Just in case?
Yeah.
So a potential financial hit.
Yeah.
But they're being proactive.
They are.
Now there's another legal issue.
Yes.
It's adding to the complexity. The ongoing case regarding the Odisha Rural Infrastructure and Socioeconomic Development Act, 2004.
Yeah, it's a mouthful.
And its potential retrospective tax implications. So let me try to explain this to our listener. In simple terms, the Supreme Court upheld the state's right to levy taxes on mineral-bearing land.
Yeah.
The catch is this ruling could be applied retroactively.
Retroactively.
Meaning Hindalco might have to pay taxes for past years.
Yeah, you got it.
And that's where the uncertainty lies.
Yeah.
It's a potential tax liability that could be significant.
It could be.
But as of December 31st, 2024,
Yeah.
no provisions have been made for it.
Right.
It's a wait-and-see situation.
Wait and see.
But definitely something investors will be keeping a close eye on.
Absolutely.
And just a quick update.
Okay.
The acquisition of my Windows fabrication facility, which was announced earlier, didn't pan out.
Didn't happen.
The deal fell through, and they're no longer pursuing it.
Okay.
Okay. So we've covered a lot of ground here. Hindalco's Q3 FY25 results are a mix of impressive achievements and potential challenges.
As with most companies.
Their aluminum upstream business is firing on all cylinders.
They're doing very well.
And their commitment to sustainability is truly commendable.
Very commendable.
But they're not immune to external pressures.
No one is.
Like scrap prices and legal uncertainties.
Right.
It's a reminder that even industry giants operate in a dynamic and sometimes unpredictable environment.
That's the nature of business.
Now, before we delve deeper into specific aspects of Hindalco's operations and financials in part 2, let's pause here and reflect on what we've learned so far.
Okay.
What stands out to you about Hindalco's strategy?
Well, I think one of the most interesting things is what's fascinating is how they're approaching resource security.
Yeah.
Securing the Meenakshi coal mines is a bold move, ensuring a steady and cost-effective supply of coal.
Yeah, it's like they're saying, we're not going to be at the mercy of global coal price swings.
Right. We'll control our own destiny.
Exactly. It's a long-term strategy that reduces their reliance on volatile global markets. And it ties in beautifully with their focus on operational efficiency. They're constantly streamlining processes and squeezing out costs, which is clear from that impressive 42% EBITDA margin in their aluminum upstream business.
Yeah, it's like they found a way to turn aluminum into gold. But let's talk more about their commitment to sustainability, because it's not just about winning awards.
You're right. Their sustainability efforts are attracting investors who prioritize ESG factors. It's becoming a powerful differentiator in today's market.
Absolutely. But it's also about appealing to consumers who are increasingly conscious of the environmental impact of their choices.
Precisely. Consumers are more likely to choose a product made by a company they perceive as responsible and ethical.
So it's a smart business move.
On multiple levels. Now I'm curious about those scrap price pressures in Novelis.
Okay.
It seems like a tough nut to crack.
It is. It highlights the inherent volatility of commodity markets. Novelis is working to diversify its scrap sources. But it's a constant balancing act to manage those fluctuations.
It's like walking a tightrope. But speaking of challenges, those potential tax liabilities are looming large. We've got the electricity duty issue and the Odisha mineral tax uncertainty. What are your thoughts on these legal hurdles?
Well, it's a reminder that regulatory and legal frameworks can significantly impact a company's financial performance.
For sure.
Especially when dealing with retrospective applications of laws.
It's like getting hit with a bill for something you didn't even know you owed.
Exactly. It creates uncertainty and makes financial planning much more difficult.
So it's a case of monitoring the legal developments closely and adapting their strategies accordingly.
Precisely. Now let's broaden our perspective and look at the global and domestic economic forces impacting the aluminum and copper industries.
Let's set the scene. What's the overall outlook for the global economy?
Well, the International Monetary Fund projects steady growth of around 3.3% for 2025 and 2026. But
there's always a but.
There are some storm clouds on the horizon.
Such as?
Well, China's economic growth is expected to moderate further due to weak domestic demand and ongoing trade tensions. So a potential slowdown in the world's second largest economy could impact demand for metals like aluminum and copper.
That makes sense, And global inflation, while easing, remains a concern, as do geopolitical uncertainties and potential trade policy shifts.
Always a factor.
So a mixed bag for the global economy. What about India specifically?
So the Reserve Bank of India projects growth to moderate to 6.4%. In fiscal year 25. High-frequency indicators suggest an uptick in activity, driven by festive demand. But global headwinds and weakness in the manufacturing sector pose downside risks.
So a cautiously optimistic outlook for India.
I'd say so, yeah.
Now, how does all this affect the aluminum industry?
Okay, so globally, the aluminum market is experiencing a slight surplus.
Okay.
With production exceeding consumption.
Yep.
China's dominance is waning as its growth slows.
And what's the demand picture like in India?
Domestic demand is robust, projected to grow by about 11% year-on-year in Q3 of fiscal year 25.
Right.
The packaging sector is a key driver, particularly for aluminum cans.
Interesting how, even with a global surplus, India's aluminum market remains strong.
It does.
What about aluminum flat-rolled products, which is Novelty's specialty?
So the global demand for aluminum flat-rolled products, excluding China, is estimated to grow by around 5%. In calendar year 25. This growth is fueled by several factors.
I'm all ears. Tell me more.
Sustained demand for beverage cans is a major factor. They're lightweight, recyclable, and consumers prefer them.
Makes sense. It's a win for sustainability and convenience.
Exactly. We're also seeing a positive outlook for automotive aluminum, especially in North America, where the trend toward larger vehicles like trucks and SUVs favors aluminum's lightweight properties.
So a good sign for novelists. Given their focus on automotive sheet. But are there any challenges on the horizon for this segment?
Yes. The weak macroeconomic environment in Europe is dampening demand. And slower growth in China, partly due to a shift in vehicle mix away from larger vehicles, is also having an impact.
So it's a tale of two markets, with regional nuances playing a significant role.
It is.
Now let's turn our attention to copper. How's that market shaping up?
Similar to aluminum, we're seeing a slight surplus in the global refined copper market. With production outpacing consumption. And once again, China is a major factor in this dynamic.
And how is the copper market performing in India?
In Q3 of fiscal year 25, the Indian copper market saw a 4% year-on-year increase in demand, reaching 206 kilotons. Domestic suppliers are capturing a larger share of the market.
So another example of robust domestic demand amidst a global surplus.
Precisely.
It highlights the growth potential within India's metals industry.
Absolutely.
Now let's dive back into Hindalco's financials and examine their performance in more detail.
All right.
Perfect. Let's start with their consolidated results.
So their consolidated revenue for Q3 of fiscal year 25 reached a remarkable 58,390 crore.
That's a lot of crores.
It is. And it represents a solid 11% increase year-on-year. Primarily driven by their performance in India. Their consolidated EBITDA also tells a positive story, coming in at 8,108 crore. A 28% jump.
Wow.
Compared to the same quarter last year.
So they're clearly firing on all cylinders.
They are.
But let's break it down by segment. Starting with Novelty's.
So Novelty's generated $4.1 billion in revenue for the quarter. A 4% increase thanks to higher average aluminum prices. However, as we discussed earlier, their adjusted EBITDA declined by 19% to $367 million.
Right. Those scrap prices are really taking a bite out of their profits.
They are, and a less favorable product mix, meaning they sold a higher proportion of lower margin products. Also contributed to the EBITDA decline. Despite these challenges, Novelty shipped a stable volume of 904 kilotons.
So they're holding steady on the volume front, but profitability is a concern.
Yes.
Now let's move on to Hindalco's aluminum upstream business in India, which seems to be their star performer.
It is. Their aluminum upstream revenue surged by 25% year-on-year.
Wow.
Reaching 9,993 crore. Their EBITDA soared by an incredible 73% to 4,222 crore. Fueled by lower input costs. And that impressive 42% EBITDA margin.
It's like they found the secret formula for success in the aluminum business.
They're doing something right.
And their strategic decision to secure the Meenakshi coal mines is also playing a role, ensuring a cost-effective supply of coal for their operations.
Absolutely.
Smart move. And it seems their aluminum downstream business in India is also performing well.
It is. Their downstream revenue and EBITDA increased by 25% and 36% respectively.
Wow.
Showing strong growth across the aluminum value chain in India.
So they're not just producing aluminum, they're also transforming it into higher value products.
Exactly.
What about their copper business in India?
Their copper business is also contributing to their overall success.
Okay.
With revenue up by 15% and EBITDA up by 18%. They're really demonstrating strength across all their key business segments.
It's like a well-oiled machine.
It is.
Now, I'm curious about their production trends.
Okay.
Are they ramping up production to meet that growing demand we talked about?
Okay, so their total alumina production was up by a modest 2% year-on-year.
Okay.
Reflecting the steady ramp-up of their Utkal alumina refinery.
Yeah.
Their aluminum upstream production remains stable,
Okay.
while downstream production increased by a healthy 15%.
So they're strategically increasing production where it makes the most sense?
That's the idea.
What about copper production?
Their copper cathode production was up by an impressive 19%.
Okay.
While copper rod production dipped slightly by 7%.
So a mixed bag for copper, but overall,
Yeah.
their production figures seem to be aligned with their overall business performance.
Yeah.
They're meeting current demand while positioning themselves for future growth.
Exactly.
Now, before we wrap up this deep dive with a final analysis of Hindalco's performance and outlook,
Yes.
let's take a moment to consider the broader implications of their strategy.
Okay.
What lessons can other companies learn from Hindalco's approach?
Well, I think one of the biggest takeaways is that sustainability.
Yeah.
It isn't just a nice to have anymore.
Yeah.
It's a core business strategy.
It's table stakes at this point.
It is, absolutely.
Yeah.
Hindalco's proving that you can be both profitable and responsible.
It's not an either or anymore.
Not at all.
Yeah.
And in today's world, that's a winning combination.
For sure. Investors are looking for companies that align with their values.
Absolutely.
And consumers are voting with their wallets.
Yeah.
They want sustainable products.
They do.
So.
Yeah. It's no longer a trade-off. It's about creating long-term value for all stakeholders.
Absolutely. Hindalco's demonstrating that a holistic approach is key.
I think so.
They're not just focused on one area.
No.
They're tackling everything, from resource security to operational efficiency to social responsibility.
It's about building a resilient business that can weather any storm.
And they're not afraid to make bold moves. Like acquiring the Meenakshi coal mines.
Bold move.
They're thinking long term.
Yeah.
Even if it means taking risks.
It pays off.
Yeah, it seems to have paid off for them.
Yeah.
Now let's zoom out and look at Hindalco's overall performance and outlook.
Yeah.
What's your take on their trajectory?
Well, I'm optimistic.
Okay.
Their India business is thriving.
Yeah.
Their expansion projects are on track. And their balance sheet is healthy.
That's great to hear.
They're well positioned for continued success.
Of course, those scrap price pressures at Novelis and the potential tax liabilities are still concerns.
Yes, those are factors that could impact their profitability in the coming quarters. But they're actively addressing these issues. And their overall business momentum gives them some breathing room.
So it's all about managing risk effectively while capitalizing on opportunities.
Precisely.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into Hindalco, what key takeaways should our listener keep in mind?
Well, I would say keep an eye on how Hindalco manages the scrap price risks at Novelis.
Okay.
Their success in this area will be crucial for their long-term profitability.
Makes sense. And those potential tax liabilities could have a significant impact on their financials.
It could.
So it's worth monitoring the legal developments closely.
Absolutely.
Beyond that, I'd say pay attention to how they leverage their sustainability leadership to further strengthen their market position and attract investors.
Yeah. It's a key differentiator
for sure
in today's competitive landscape.
Excellent points. So we've seen that Hindalco is a company that's firing on all cylinders.
Yeah, they're doing very well.
But also facing headwinds.
As with any business.
It's a reminder that even industry giants operate in a complex and ever-changing world.
Yeah, that's the reality.
It's a story of strength, resilience, and adaptation.
Absolutely.
And it's a story that we'll continue to follow with great interest.
As will we.
We'll be back soon with another deep dive into a new set of sources.
Looking forward to it.
Uncovering hidden insights and exploring the forces shaping our world.
Yeah, it's going to be good.
Until then,
keep learning.
Keep learning.
Keep questioning.
And keep questioning.
And keep diving deep.
Deep.